If you're afraid of heights, you might want to be careful with this story. This takes place in the desert. There's a deserted metal tower there, 5,000 meters high. Two women who love adventure decided to climb it. But this tower had been standing for years, exposed to all kinds of weather. When one woman, Lily, was about halfway up, a bolt on the structure came loose. Neither of them noticed the danger, though, and they kept climbing. Finally, with some help from her friend, they made it to the very top. Looking down at the land beneath their feet, they weren't scared. Instead, they felt thrilled and happy. But after they finished taking pictures and were ready to climb down, they discovered the real problem. Getting up was easier than getting down. Lily carefully lowered one foot, trying to find the ladder below. Her buddy, hanging onto the top, held tightly onto her. Just as Lily started her descent, disaster struck. Luckily, her friend reacted quickly, grabbing the tower's peak structure, which stopped Lily from falling. To pull Lily back up, her friend quickly looped a rope around the tower's peak for anchor and started pulling. But she wasn't strong enough, and her foot slipped, almost causing her to fall too. She braced her other foot hard against the metal peak, stabilizing herself and preventing Lily from slipping further. Meanwhile, Lily was scrambling upward with all her strength. Finally, she managed to grab onto the last remaining section of ladder just above the peak. Lily safely pulled herself back up. She had just cheated death, and she cried from relief and the shock of the close call. But it was too early to celebrate. They faced a bigger issue: how to get down from 5,000 meters up. Lily immediately pulled out her phone to call for help, but at that altitude, there was no cell service. Now they were truly terrified. If no one found them, they would starve or die of thirst. Fortunately, Lily's backpack hadn't fallen all the way down. It was caught on a signal transmitter partway down the tower. The problem was, the ladder below them was gone, so they couldn't climb down to retrieve the pack. Then they wondered, maybe there was no signal at the peak, but what about further down? Trying anything to get rescued, the friend tied her phone to the end of the rope. She had pre-typed a distress message and set it to send automatically if it ever found a signal. They lowered the phone all the way down on the rope, but unfortunately, they never heard the sound indicating the message had been sent. Desperate for a signal, the friend risked climbing down a short, roughly 2-meter ladder section on the side of the peak. She held onto the ladder with one hand and lowered the phone with the other, trying to get it as low as possible. But soon, her arms burned with exhaustion, and she couldn't hold on any longer. With no other choice, she gave up and climbed back to the top. Looking at the useless phone, she felt utterly defeated. Suddenly, Lily had an idea. What if they threw the phone down to the ground? If it survived the fall, the distress text might still send. The friend immediately took off one of her shoes and stuffed the phone inside, hoping the shoe would cushion the impact. For extra protection, she ripped a piece of cloth from her shirt, wrapped the phone tightly, and then put it in the shoe. Then, they threw the shoe, carrying their phone in all their hopes, down towards the ground. Right around that time, they unexpectedly found a telescope and some signal flares stashed on the tower peak. Using the telescope, they spotted a man on the ground who was talking on his phone. They screamed and yelled, but the distance was too great. He couldn't hear them. The man's dog, however, seemed to sniff the shoe and maybe heard their faint shouts. But the man just called his dog back and started to walk away. Watching him get further away, they panicked, screaming themselves hoarse. A frantic Lily even threw her other shoe down, hoping to get his attention. The shoe clanged against a metal ladder part, making a noise. The sound finally caught the man's attention. He walked over, picked up the shoe, looked at it, and glanced around, but then he just tossed it aside. The two women on the tower were almost voiceless from shouting.